session today on the webinar series. In keeping with our efforts to help NGOs, the Atma Network uses this webinar series as a platform through which the subject matter experts help organizations with best practices so that you can manage your NGOs more effectively and impactfully. For some of you who are attending our webinar for the first time, Atma is an accelerator for educational NGOs. We work with organizations for a period of 3 years to build their capacity and make them sustainable and scalable. In the past 10 years, we have worked with over 65 NGOs. I am happy to announce that we have opened the second round of applications for the accelerator program. We are looking for organizations that are registered, are working in the field of education, catering to low-income beneficiary group, are located in Mumbai, Navi Mumbai or Thane, have a strong program and are looking to scale. The deadline to apply for the accelerator program is 31st July 2019. We are kindly requesting all of you to either apply or refer us organizations that fit into the eligibility criteria of the accelerator program. Post the webinar, we will be sharing the application details that you can circulate within your networks. A representative from Atma will get in touch with the NGOs after reviewing the application. So today, we are going to address a topic that this generation is well versed with, but have not completely explored it in our work and organizations. Social media. Yes, social media is something that all of us use, but have you ever thought about how it can be effectively used to meet the goals of your organization? To help us understand this better, we have Emilia, who is an Argentina-based consultant working with a media organization with the purpose of deepening the question of how stories can transform society. Emilia's career runs across the interconnection between communications and social innovation. For over 4 years, Emilia worked with Ashoka Argentina, Uruguay and Paraguay, and Ashoka Global teams, where she met hundreds of people who are making this world a better place and learned about creating systemic change. She then continued to explore and grow along the path in India as an Amani Institute Fellow in the Social Innovation Management Program and collaborated with Dream a Dream for handling their social media campaigns. Before we head on to the session, let's recap a few basic rules. All attendees will be on the listen-only mode throughout the webinar. Any questions you may have will be taken up in the Q&A section towards the end of the webinar. So please type your questions in the chat box that you see on your screen. And do keep the questions coming. A topic like social media will be better understood if you raise specific challenges that you or your organization is facing pertaining to this topic. And last but not the least, after the webinar, we will be mailing all attendees the presentation that you will see today and any other additional resources that are relevant to this topic. Now we'll also be taking a short survey that you'll see on your screen. You'll have 1 minute to take the survey. Just select the right answer and then press the submit button. Over to you, Emilia.
Thank you very much for joining today, and Vanita for the introduction. Here I'm in Argentina, so I'm a little far away from you. Here it's almost 7 a.m. in the morning, and I hope I can take you through this webinar, and keep you there and help you, give you some useful tips. Thank you for us answering the survey. I can see that many people have already built their social media plan and that you are using many different social media platforms like Facebook. All of you Facebook, most of you Instagram, some of you 57% LinkedIn, and 40% Twitter. Also, it's interesting that the 58% of you think that social media is very relevant for achieving your organization goals. Let's move on to the presentation then. Perfect. First, I want to tell that my experience around social media has to be, I'm a social communicator. I studied that, and then all my career has been in social organizations. I've been working in Ashoka for many years and being in contact with many social organizations. I also saw like the challenge that means many times to be in charge of so many things like a communications plan and institution. But I see that some people are having issues to listen. Then we will recap at the end so that everyone can understand what we're talking about. So I was telling that many social organizations, we have the challenge to manage with our resources that in social media, in social organizations, are many times scarce, or we wish they were a little more. But time and money, for example, is something very important for managing anything, and even more for social media. And this is like the challenge I would like you to I would like to overcome. So yeah, my experience is more in the interconnection between communications and social innovation or social organizations. Not so much technical issues. So today we're going to cover a little of context regarding social media. We are going to try to make some questions to understand our current situation around social media. We are going to cover some tips around building our social media plan, on creating our strategy. We're going to cover a case, and in the end, we're going to finish with some tools and next steps. As you might know, social media is around us everywhere. In the world, we have 2,300 million of users connected per month in Facebook, and we spend almost 3 hours per day in average in social media. In India, it's like 260 million active in social media. It's a lot, even though many people still are not using internet. There's a lot of people that are using social media, and you have Facebook as the biggest one there. So what if we understand social media not as nice to have, but as a channel that can lead us to impacting in culture, society, and lead real social change? Many of you answered that social media is very relevant for you or for your organizational goals. And as social organizations, I can imagine that your goals are quite big, or you have very interesting missions that have to do with impacting in culture and society. So it's amazing that you are already thinking that, because today social media give us an amazing opportunity to connect with our different publics and stakeholders and be able to bring new conversations and reach people that before we couldn't do so easy. So where are we now? Every time I reach an organization or just I arrive somewhere and I have to start working or creating or talking with people to see whether we can start to, I start like going through some key aspects and asking some questions or searching of information inside the organizations to see what is the current situation. So maybe this can look obvious, but many times we start like trying to apply the same solutions we find in other organizations or in other brands or in other places to our organization, and maybe our organization is in a different stage or it has different goals. So for me, it's really, really important to stop for a while, even if you're already for some time in organization, and ask yourself some questions regarding these key aspects. For example, channel, in which social networks are we present? Are we in Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn? Are we using them? Are they all active? Or we have one that is like open but is not being used? These are questions to answer because not only it can lead us, for example, to close a network or to start using it actively. If there we can find some users that are interesting for our goals. In terms of audience, whom are we talking to? Who is interacting with us? Many times the people that are following us or talking with us in organizations are not always the same people that we want to talk to. So let's ask ourselves, let's look to the statistics in Facebook, in Instagram, to see who is the one who is there, who is answering me every time I post something or sending me message. It's very important to analyze this. Which are the messages we are building and what that we are saying? Are we just reposting things that others are creating, or we are creating our content? Are we being transparent with our voice, or when we go to field, we say something and then in social media we just cover another topics? Which is our style? How are we communicating? Even social media is quite informal and direct and friendly. Many times we try to keep formal and to keep very institutional. It's okay, but also we have to adapt to each channel's rules. And the metrics, very, very important. It's very important to see where we are now in terms of metrics, to see where we want to reach and which metrics we want to achieve. So if you have any questions, please, then we'll go through them. Does your social media presence reflect our organization? Is social media helping us achieve our goals, our mission? I encourage you to take this question and take some seconds to just think about it. So in terms of management, I many times find that I wish I could do so many things in social media, build videos, reach a lot of people, invite people to join, change the social perspective around a topic. For example, I can imagine that many of you work on education and inclusion, and I feel that you maybe, but it's very common in organizations, that you want to also impact in the society in general, to make people understand like the importance of integrating others and the importance of diversity. But how can we manage our resources in order to achieve so big missions and goals? So here also some key questions for you to ask yourself or to think in team. Well, first, of course, how is the team? Who is the people in charge? Do we have people that are managing social media? Do we have people that can make some design or some videos? What are the skills that we have? And are we using them? Are we taking profit of them? Sometimes the different social media are split among different people of the team, but it's really important that we all are aligned towards the same plan, towards the same goal. Even if one is using Twitter, another Facebook, it's very important also to centralize this, not just to everyone can post at every time, because I don't think that everyone will be like following the goal, but most of the time there's one person that is like responsible, like the guardian of following a goal. How much time are we investing in social media? Is it like one person, one part-time or one full-time, or there are many people that are investing like 10 minutes a week? I don't know, it can be really different. So it's very important to think of it, to then think what is the best thing to improve or to manage. The frequency, what is our frequency of posting in each of the social media? Are we there every day, once a week, once a month? If there is a social media that you are there and you haven't posted for a while, take a second to think about it and to think how can we involve this in our day-to-day routine. And resources, how is the resources that we have, that like we were saying before, and the tools, of course, and then we're going to cover some of them. Tools can make more efficient our day management of social media. Okay, so think of the efficiency we were talking before. So, very important, building your social media plan. I think many of you have already built one, but we're going to cover some key aspects because some of you haven't. And it's always good to refresh. So, as every plan, how can we start setting our goals and see what is it that we want to achieve through social media? And if these goals that we are setting in social media are aligned to our organization objectives. For example, we in our organization, as we were telling before, we could be trying to change society's perspective around disabilities. How can we take a goal in social media for that? It depends on how you work and what you do. If you are always making events, for example, you need a lot of conversion because you need a lot of people signing up for this event. So you have to design your strategy also in that. Even your goals, here is something important, that even your goals are different. If you want to share contents or you want to form or educate people somehow and say, okay, give them some data. Today, the main metric that you have to look at is engagement. Engagement is in this era and in social media landscape is the main one, because today, well, as you might know, so social media shows very few organic posts to people. So if we are able to build engagement and to people to compromise and to be attentive and they are interested in what we are sharing and they are participating, then the posts are going to be shown many times to more people, and we're going to also be generating a relationship with them that will exceed social media. People are going to relate with us as organizations, not only as a social media account, but as an organization. We have to be like humans and transparent to build these kind of relationships. Then it's important to identify our audiences, as we were telling before. I'm using in social media, I need to find some donors, or I need to talk to society in general, or more focused, maybe I need to talk to some parents of different parts of society or to the education system. That is very important because given your audience, you'll be able to build a plan and to speak to these people in their language. You'll create content that is valuable for them. If not, we are thinking that we are talking to everyone, and everyone is not a good thing to build a relationship. One tip is that you can choose one or two ideal ones of your audiences, even if you have more, but at least to plan your calendar, for example. You can choose parents, so you have in your mind this audience, you know how it is, you know what they like, or you try to know, maybe you have to move forward, move closer to them to ask them to understand them more as an audience, so you can build a better content creation for them. And define your messages. Which are the messages that work for this group? Sometimes we think that, oh, we don't have money to build a super video or to do a super design production, but we have in organizations we have a good point that we have a lot of human stories. And today, the most important aspect, even said by Facebook people I met like 2 weeks ago, they were saying spontaneity works better. Like every time someone is transparent or shows things as they are, many times it works better than a huge production. So take use of these human stories and try to be creative in showing them, in connecting with your audience in this aspect. Of course, if you can add a more produced content and design things, it's better because you can put different content. Sometimes it's also really good to show, for example, get your phone. If you have Instagram, you can create a story of talking to kids in the field, or different people that can talk to you, or even show the team. How is the team and the staff working, and who are them? People want to see the human stories behind the screens. And most important, measure. So as we were saying before, for example, if we want to build community, we need to know if we are getting more followers, if the publications are having reach, if they are having interactions, shares, comments. If we need to make conversion, we need to see how many people did really subscribe to our event, or make the download of the information we are sharing, or if they could donate to our organization, if we are trying that they convert in donors. If let's see. Okay, so till there, I hope you're understanding my English. We already covered about in which stage we are. So it's important for us to start understanding our current situation, ask ourselves and as a team some questions for us to focus our plan, not just do and do without thinking, but it's really, really important to stop and ask these questions and talk them as a team, and to build our social media plan, as we were saying. Now we're gonna start speaking a little bit about creating our strategy, and I'm gonna give you also some tips that I got to know about Facebook and Instagram. To creating our strategy, as we were telling before, we have to start on writing down these things that we were saying before, like our goals, our audiences, our messages, like more general stuff, and then build something more concrete. For example, this year, which events do we have? Which important date we have to take into account to build a strategy? For example, it could be like the environmental day, or also we have to write down the events we have. And for this, it's very important to build a calendar. In the screen you can see now, I use this template for when I manage social media. Visual things help a lot to understand and to and to take your mind a little that your mind can manage better what is coming and organize. So organizing for example, your month like this. Here you have like dates, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and here is divided by weeks. Of course, this can be useful or not. It depends on you. But I want to show you this to see like how important it is to plan and to make visual what is coming ahead. Some things you will be able to schedule, and some others don't. Some others are open to the moment, to spontaneity, and it's okay. But it's also okay that we have some structure and we have somewhere to stand over. So to explain a little more. For example, here I put in the social media where I will publish some things. These are the social media that this organization with which I was working with had active. So here you can put any social media that you are using. And here I divided in Instagram stories and Instagram feed because it's really different, the strategy, no? Instagram feed, you can post like, I don't know, 2 or 3 posts a week, for example, and Instagram stories, you use them maybe in different occasions, like in live events, and in the feed you put more um, um, applications that are not so much linked with instantaneity. So it's different the way of thinking of this. And the thing I made is like dividing, choosing different categories of posts. For example, this organization had some events every 2 weeks. So every two or 3 weeks, I knew that I will have some pictures about this event. So if the event was on Friday, for example, I used to reserve Mondays to some Mondays to post a picture or images related to this event. I knew that I will have that content, so it was better if I organized myself and I set this day to publishing than leaving it like open. Then I knew that this organization had every Wednesday a webinar. So every Wednesday I knew I could make some live coverage in Insta stories, for example, about the webinar and share some people, some videos and some pictures about the webinar while it was going on. But then on Thursday, I could make a post about this webinar and I could highlight, for example, a quote about what the webinar was talking about. So this is to show more that about the organization that you can have, and this you can see 1 month, but this can be of all the year, for example. So you can be able to be prepared to different things that are gonna happen during the month. Well, here there are different categories also. For example, team. In this month, we weren't talking so much about the team, but in the post, in the afterwards, in the next month, yeah. Or how can we talk about participants and make posts about them? So I make sure that every aspect that I want to cover in social media was covered. If I want to talk about if my organization works with participants that are taking a course, works with a team that is handling this course, if it creates qualitative content, I want to show the content, for example, of the experts that are sharing their expertise and show at least a quote or what are we talking about, so people can imagine and take better idea of who we are and what we do. And now we're going to cover some tips about social media. Do you know that we scroll 90 meters every day in our cell phones? Yeah, when you're scrolling, when you are watching many content in social media, this content can reach like 90 meters in average. So people go very fast over content. we need to be more visual to attract people, because we are scrolling all day long and we are competing with lots and lots and lots of accounts. How can we stand out in this environment? Well, we have to think, how can we call the attention? It's not that only for publishing something, we are going to reach the people that we want, or we are going to make them see or read. For example, if we post something that has a lot of text in the post, maybe yes, in the part of the text, but if the image has a lot of text, maybe people are not going to see it. Try to test if people are rereading what you're publishing, and if not, don't lose time in things that are not going to make people see your content. Try to share content only that creates value for your audiences and for you as an organization. Given that we have very short resources many times, it's very important that we just are not making things just because you have to make them, but just choose what you're gonna share, choose what you're gonna produce. Because many times we are making a lot of work and putting a lot of effort and time in things that maybe are not creating the impact that we can. And we have the capacity to create impact because we have amazing stories. So let's find this. So as like we were saying before, being authentic and showing human aspect of our organization, showing the stories of the team, of the community, and being honest also. Sometimes things are not going so good, and it's good also to share this with our community as we share celebrations. It's also good to share things that are not going so good, and how can people be part of this. It's very important to open the space for people to be part of your organization in different aspects, not only, for example, donors or assisting to events, but maybe asking things to them and making participate in some conversations. So here you all know this. You all have a Facebook page, but it's important always to remember that our Facebook page is really reflecting our organization and is really attracting us. So in the profile picture, for example, very important to use our logo. If we don't use our logo, people will not understand easy who we are. So please use your logo. Use a cover photo that sorry, that shows who you are, and be clear in your mission. Update your address and your contact number. It's the first place where people are going to arrive, so better if all the information is clear and can find you very easily. So another tip is that you can verify your page, even if you don't have so many followers, or if you do have them. Verifying your page can improve your organic position and attract more visitors. So if you go to adjustments and to general, you can ask Facebook to verify your page, and they will just call you or ask you for some documents. But it's very easy. This is like a gray verification. It's not blue one, but even the gray one is really good for our page. Also, about videos that today are so important to start to make a lot of visual things and attract with videos. We are used as people and human beings by being surrounded to videos. So if we have the capacity to do it, let's do it. You know that we have the first 3 to 5 seconds to capture the attention of someone in a video. So this is like this. The first 3 to 5 seconds of the video should be very engaging. Don't wait till the second 10 build a story or to bring something interesting, but in the first images already they have to be very attractive. Also, it's important to not depend on the sound in Facebook. Many times people is watching videos in, for example, public transport, and you don't have always the sound on. So if you're filming or showing a video where someone is telling something very important, don't only depend in the sound, but you can, for example, make some subtitles or write something down in the text of the video so that people can tell, can know what you're talking about. Also, it's important to upload directly on the social media platform. If you link to YouTube, for example, this content will not be so shown by Facebook. Facebook prefers as a platform that you put the content directly on their platform. Yeah. So you have to put videos directly in Facebook, not the link to YouTube, for example. Is the best thing. Of course, if it's too long, the video that you have, it's okay to link to have it in YouTube, and it's okay to use YouTube. But when you use Facebook, maybe you can make a short part of this of a long video to share it in Facebook. And also experiment. Social media has this, that you can experiment a lot, and it's not. I mean, it's okay if you experiment. It's okay if someday you make some video, or if you try using, for example, in Instagram, some polls, or you make a live video. Try, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But better to try, and of course think about it and do it according to your strategy. But you can also one day say, okay, if we were talking to these kind of people, like I don't know, women, and we want to say that they can send their children to our organization. What can we tell them today, and which tools we have today to talk? Okay. Very important, as we were building a relationship with our audiences and with people that are following us and that are part of our social media, it's important also to be regular. If you started posting something, let's keep up, and don't forget that we have a social media, and we have to for example, choose a frequency which we can and we want to keep. If we want to, it's okay, for example, if you want to post 2 or 3 times a week, but also your strategy could be to posting more a week. You have to find which is your frequency and which is your best regularity according to your organization goals and to your own capacity. Yeah. And it's important also to vary, not just put the same type of publication, for example, not only invite people to events, or not only put pictures about the classes that your organization gives, for example, but it's important that you make some original and diverse content. And it's not that you will have to create all this content. Some of this content can be original. For example, if you have the capacity to create original content. Some content can also be curated. For example, there's a lot of content moving around, and you can share a lot of content that is already around, and that helps your message spread. So take profit also of this, and plan also thinking that some content I will create and some content I will take and share from others, giving, of course, the reference necessary. Of course, create and join conversations. As we were telling, to keep up these relationships and to be honest to people, it's important that you always answer. If they are asking you something, even if they are saying negative stuff, don't leave the answer just open, but try to show your view, your perspective, your position, and being really, really friendly always, and saying thank you a lot. This is a great opportunity, as we were saying, to interact and to listen. Human content, of course, you have a lot of stories, take profit of them, move them, show them, keep active. Short preview to this example. As I was telling you, I worked some time last year with Dream a Dream, and we created a fundraising campaign. And for this fundraising campaign, I worked in the team creating a communication campaign, no? Because it was, we said, how can we take profit of this campaign, given that we are gonna be talking to a lot of people at the same time, and we're gonna ask them like to give money to raise and to follow the cause that we want to change in the world. How can we take this moment to speak to the people and to give them the most important message, that is that we as an organization, we need that people have, and the young people have, a chance to thrive. So we created this hashtag thinking about this, not only like you have to donate, but what is it that you are donating to? Because we are working every day for this central proposition and for this central cause. We want people to be part and to join this movement. And I'm going to show for this campaign, for example, we in Facebook we share like 15 posts. We make the pictures. We looked for some quotes, and then spread it along all our networks. It's important that, for example, not only we publish content, but also we spread it through WhatsApp. We made a lot of things to engage the staff, for them to also take this campaign as their own, and be empowered to show the message. No, we share the messages that are together to our campaigns. Some of the organic reach, for example, was more than 14,000. This can be seen as small or big. It depends, of course, as I was telling before, in your own numbers, in your own organization. But always it's important, as we were saying, to know which is our situation, to know also which is our success. Our success is measured according to us and to environment, of course, but we have to take that into account. Also, we made a lot of tweets related to the campaign, and this helped us to organically reach a lot of new people coming to our organization, a lot of people talking to us. We had like a lot of donors, and we even covered the initial goal of the campaign. But something important was, even if we structured this a lot, we started working on this campaign like more than 1 month before we sent the first post or the first design piece. We were already thinking what we wanted to tell and how we were going to tell it. But we also were surprised by some unexpected things that happened during the campaign. So this is also an important message. Make your plan, make your calendar, but also be able to listen what is going around. For example, in this campaign, some young people started to make their own pani puri stall. And they made this pani puri stall to raise some money for the campaign of Dream a Dream. This was amazing, and we wanted to show this to our community. Look, if they are raising money, they are involving, is because they know the value that Dream a Dream has, and you can also help them. So we created a video when they created this stall, show it in the media. Then there was another girl that made their own earrings, and she sold them, and 50% of their income she donated to our campaign. So this kind of story that arise, be able to include them and integrate them into your strategy, into your social media every day. To round up, think, don't publish just to be present. Think which content is generating value. Look for inspiration. There's a lot of accounts, not only in social organizations, but also they can be brands, they can be influencers, they can be just common people that are sharing amazing content and that is good for us to know. And plan. Order and structure allows then this flexibility and spontaneity. Um, well, here we have some tools and next steps. I would like to at least take some questions that I know there are some, and I let you all this list of some tools that you have to you can use, for example, to create videos, to use ads, to to see your feed before publishing in Instagram, and of course the content template I show you before. We'll send it by email. Vanita, are there any questions?
No, thank you so much, Amelia. We'll now take the questions from the participants. I saw that throughout the webinar, a lot of people were posting their questions on the chat. What we'll be doing right now is reading out the questions to you, and then you can answer them in your own capacity, as well as if there are any questions that you cannot be answered, as like a lot of people have been posting questions. Amelia, would you be open to taking these questions offline?
Yeah, I can take them.
Perfect. Okay, so we'll move on to the question and answers round, and I will just pull out the questions that have been posted. Um, the questions will be shown on your screen. Just read it out and answer the questions. All right.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So the first question is: would Just Dial Google Business be considered as a challenge, as a channel?
Yeah, I don't know Just Dial. I mean, I'm not an expert on that, but every place I think that gives you the capacity to connect to your audiences, I think it can be a channel. Yeah.
Okay. Um, Another question from Trinchna. I will need help to understand how do we groom our volunteers to know how to plan for social media posts. How can I train my interns better, or how can I train my team members so that they can give better information that can be included in the messages of these posts?
Yeah, that's a very important question. Um, First, it's important to identify who is the one who is going to take social media and manage it. Some people already have a lot of skills around social media and use it every day. So if we can ask these people that already have these skills, this will be amazing. If we have to train, of course, it's not the only thing, because we have to align to the organizational goals and the messages that we were telling before. But I think you can, if you are already trained in social media and you are the person to train them, or if you think of external trainers, people that can help you train your team or train yourself. But it's very important to identify first who are the people in charge. Not everyone has to be posting. Yeah, so one or two people that can post or that can think about social media it's okay, and then they will be in charge to ask different people, okay, you're the designer, you can help me build this piece of content, or if you are always in the field, I need you to send me these pictures. So this person will be responsible for that. It's important that is trained around it, and aligned, of course, with the organizational goals, and maybe that is you, to think together these messages and these goals.
All right. I hope, Trinshana, that answers your question. We have another question from Mukesh, that what could be appropriate platform of social media other than you mentioned in the survey, which was Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn, and then there were others. Can you mention a few more?
Yeah, I mean, that depends in the platforms that your audience is using. If they are using WhatsApp, for example, use WhatsApp also as a channel. You can talk to them through that. You can also use YouTube. YouTube is also a place where, for example, young people is a lot and spend a lot of time. So it's important to know where your audience is and to know which social media are they using. Uh, Approach your audiences, ask, make questions, and try to understand them in order to create your own strategy and to not lose time in a place where they are not. Yeah. Next.
Okay. The next question again is how are other organizations gathering information of their projects on field so that the same can be shared on our pages in time?
Yeah. Some important thing is that we not always have to pressure ourselves to share in the instant. Like it does have, if this is happening now, and I can create some stories, for example, for Instagram or for Facebook, and that's great. But also, for example, is I have some hours to develop these stories also. If I'm in an event, for example, I take a lot of content, but I can't do the stories now and upload it and share in my pages. Take some time when this event finish, try to go through this content to build the story that you want to create, and then share it. Yeah, you have a little time to share in some occasions. In others, for example, you can create live videos if you want to create in time content. And then there will be some content that you share afterwards. So the content, for example, if you have very good pictures, then you can create some content once this event finish, and you can even use it months after the event has finished. It doesn't have to be everything in time, because sometimes we have a lot of interesting content and we won't share it, but some will be shared in time and some not. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. So, in the interest of time, I will take four more questions that have been posted. And here's the next question sorry, from Tina Gandhi. Most of the people in the social sector are multitasking. Dedicating one resource for social media is financially not viable. It would be good to know more on frequency of the post on various channels. Also, the standard length of any video posting. This is to not overload the audience with our content. This seems like a couple of questions, but can you break this down? Break your answers down.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so most of the people in social sector are multitasking. And yeah, many times it's not viable to hire someone to be in charge of social media. But maybe if there's someone in communications, they can start managing and create the team of volunteers, for example, or a part-time if you have the, the capacity also. Sometimes it's also good. Um, About frequency, we were speaking that, for example, in Facebook, you can post from 2 to 3 posts every week, and this is a good number. Then if you want to raise more, do more, but I prefer to start with what is viable and what you can do. But yeah, for sure, two posts or three. Also in the feed of Instagram, for example, it's a good frequency to start with or to continue with. Then you can raise, and of course you can do, for example, in Instagram, if you post in the feed 2 or 3 times a week, you can also post in some stories 2 or 3 times a week.
Okay. The next question is from Archana Menon. It says, could you give us case studies or examples of which metrics to pursue when, like, for example, when is the followers the goal? When is the engagement the smart goal? So, like some metrics that you might use for goals.
Yeah. I like to think in the combination of goals also, because it doesn't make sense to reach more followers or to have more followers if I'm not able to engage with them. So think maybe sometimes in the combination of more than one. And yes, for example, in some posts, it will be different. Maybe the goal of my page is to raise my awareness and to create more engagement. But in some posts, I will need conversion because I will need people to, I don't know, make a click in some link and join, I don't know, a webinar, for example. This is conversion. So you can have a general goal for your page or two general goals for your page, but then sometimes it's independent according to the post you are creating. But in every post you create, you have to keep this in mind. In this post, I want people to join webinar. In this post, I want people just to engage and answer what I'm asking. Yeah. So every post can have more than one metric to pursue goal.
Sure. We will take two more questions, and these are common questions. The first question is, what are the steps to get your Facebook page verified? This is asked by two people, and I'm just putting it out there for you to answer.
Yeah. So you have to go to, then maybe I can share also, but in your Facebook page, when you enter, in the right side, you can have settings, and in general, you will find at the top, verify your page, this option. And you enter there and it's everything tell. You have to put a phone number and they will call you, and maybe with that is okay, or maybe they will ask for some document to upload, but you can do it very easily. This is the gray verification, not the blue one.
Great. Okay, we'll probably share some resources to answer this because a couple of people have asked the same question. One last question, and some people have asked this question, which is how to use hashtag effectively on social media.
Yeah, try to look which hashtags are the ones that that gather your audience. Yeah, hashtags are good for tracking people because people many times are following these hashtags. For example, as I follow some organization or some other people, I can also follow hashtags. So every time someone posts something, the hashtag, many times I see it. So try to understand and follow, see how your audience is behaving, enter to some of your fans, for example, or followers, and see which hashtags they are following or they are talking with, and maybe you'll be able to start using some of them. Maybe it's also analyzing which other like other organizations similar to you, which hashtags are they using, and if they are effective in using them.
Great. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for your presentation, Amelia. And that was a lot of information. And thank you to everybody for being so participative. I hope this webinar was useful for your organization. We'll be sending out an email shortly to all the participants after this webinar with the presentation as well as the social media plan template that Amelia shared with you. Also, please fill out the feedback form. Your feedback helps us to improve our webinars and bring the topics that are of best interest to you. This is Vanita signing off until our next webinar on best practices post hiring by Rahul Balakrishnan from Arthan. Goodbye.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.